advisors, and we also provide divorce coaching and case management for your divorcing employees. And at Divorce Right, we tackle the biggest disruptor that your company faces, and that's divorce. And just to let you know, we have SHRM's pre-certification or recertification activity codes for you. So if you are a member of SHRM, hang tight till the end of this. We'll put the link that you'll need to fill out to get your credits for your license and your certification with SHRM. And today we are going to be talking to another expert on the subject of divorce, and that is being in a relationship with a narcissist. How you can show up, how that can show up at work when your employee is married to one. Hint, it's awful. And what you can do to support your employee. And we're going to be talking about that when, sometimes when the narcissist is your employee. So today we have an expert. Her name is Tiara Womack. She's an MBA, a multiple best-selling author, and she has written a book called, where did it go? It was the 7-point guide to recognizing your narcissist. And we're going to have a link for you so that you can download that book for free. Let me tell you a little bit about Tiara. She is a multiple best-selling author, as I mentioned. She is a radio host of the Mind Your Business show. She's a speaker and founder of The Brave Way, and is a serial multi-platform mompreneur of 17 years whose businesses have generated over 7 figures. As an award-winning human design-based business mentor, alignment, and wealth coach, Tiara helps female founders, experts, and thought leaders shift their codependency and money sabotaging habits so they can realign with their purpose. After 2 long-term narcissistic abusive relationships, Tiara walked away from it all in order to take her power back and stop the crazy cycle of manipulation and abuse while building an abundant, happy life that she is now in love with. So welcome, Tiara. How are you today, my dear?
Thank you so much. I'm so excited for this conversation. Thank you for having me. This is so needed. So thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be talking about navigating narcissism in the workplace and its impact on productivity. So the first question, Tiara, is and we hear about this so much, what is narcissistic personality disorder?
We do. Narcissism and narcissist has become such a buzzword, unfortunately, because it is a very serious disorder. So NPD, or narcissistic personality disorder, is a cluster B spectrum disorder. So cluster B meaning right in the same wheelhouse of schizophrenia, bipolar. And I always like to preface and say that just because someone has narcissistic traits does not mean that they are a narcissist. In fact, we all have a little bit of healthy ego in us, right? So let me just start off by saying that. However, with this spectrum disorder, it is one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, to diagnose because it's a spectrum. So what I mean by that is typically you have narcissists that we think of in society that are depicted in movies and whatnot, where they are very egotistical, maybe very boisterous, openly manipulative, toxic, openly abusive, right? So that would be on the spectrum of your malignant, toxic narcissist. However, there are 7 types along this spectrum, which makes it so hard to diagnose. And so you may have a covert narcissist, whether that's in your professional or personal life, that more so comes across as a victim, a bit more introverted, right? And so that's how they seek their attention and validation, is through the woe is me part, okay? And then you also may have what's known as a martyr narcissist. So that's the person that is always saving the day, that seems to do the most good within the company, but behind closed doors, and for those individuals who are closest to them, they see the rage when that individual does not get the recognition and the accolades, the pedestal that they are really seeking. It's not about service to others. It's about that, again, that recognition. So with all of these individuals on this spectrum are lacking empathy that we non-NPD individuals carry. Okay. But again, it's a spectrum. So it's very hard to say someone is clinically diagnosable. There's roughly about 5 to 6% of individuals in the world that can be clinically diagnosed as with NPD, but there's no medication.
Right.
right? There's still some talk out about therapies, but it's an actual personality disorder that affects many.
It does indeed. It does indeed. And do you know the statistics on men versus women in this? I know that sometimes we think that it's a I think the brand of the narcissistic personality disorder is that it's males, but it's
Mhm.
actually kind of in the it's almost equal, right?
It is. I don't have the exact statistics on it, but I can say that many of my male counterparts, they are always saying, I also have dealt with a narcissist, but I don't have the resources out there because the narcissist is usually depicted as a man. But
Right.
let's not convolute the fact that narcissists are, in both spectrums. I believe, though, that sometimes females can, in the workplace and personal life, they are a bit more secretive with their narcissistic behavior. So, men don't feel as comfortable coming out and saying, hey, I think that I'm married to a narcissist, or, dealing with a narcissist in the workplace.
And I will tell you, as somebody that has had enough of them in my life, that I don't want that anymore. It's
Right.
it's a hard thing, I would imagine, for a lot of men to come to grips with the fact that they've got this woman that has been manipulating them for so long, but it does happen.
Mhm. Absolutely. What I find is, regardless of gender, you see the shame of being with a narcissist, because I always say that narcissists do not break into poor houses, they break into mansions. They
Mm,
are seeking to fulfill their supply. So, therefore, they go for the very best of the best. So, usually, that is the most successful, most ambitious individual that they can get close to. And so, what happens is you have this front facing success, but then behind closed doors or within your work environment, you're dealing with the manipulation of a narcissist. And it almost blows your mind. Not almost, it does blow your mind that
does.
I have been manipulated.
Mhm.
It's like, a lot of the stories, and because you've dealt with narcissists firsthand as well, you feel like you can't make this up. And I'm always blown away by these stories of people who encounter narcissists and the lengths that clinically diagnosable narcissistic individuals go to maintain their facade, to maintain their mask, to maintain, whatever supply they are needing and seeking. But
Right.
yeah, it's really unbelievable.
Yeah, they're master manipulators. They're quite charming.
Mhm.
So we're talking about this because a divorcing a narcissist, I oftentimes use, and in our training, I use a bit of the film from the War of the Roses,
Mhm.
uh, and people think that doesn't happen. Oh, yes, it does. Yeah, was that taken into, two extremes to make a movie about it?
Mhm.
But it's very true that oftentimes a narcissist will, burn the house down and wants their spouse in it, that kind of person. So what and sometimes, by the way, if you're listening, you're an HR professional, sometimes your employee is the victim of a narcissist, and
Mhm.
sometimes your employee is the narcissist.
Mhm.
So, what are the most common tactics one encounters with a narcissist?
Well, there's usually a lot of like a smear campaign. So many narcissists, especially in the workplace, they're just overly competitive. It's good to have a little bit of competitive factor, but they're overly competitive. They will manipulate their team members so that they are the ones receiving all of the recognition. A lot of narcissists in the workplace will take credit for work that their team did or that another individual did so they can get those accolades. They are constantly needing a lot of praise and feedback. Although, if the feedback isn't what they hear, they're not willing to implement that feedback. So you get a lot of friction and tension amongst individuals in the workplace. And Also a lot of narcissists, they just don't seem to, that empathy piece. They don't care that your child is sick. They don't care that your parent just died. It's a complete lack of empathy if it isn't self-serving to them in regards to whatever your role is within the company and what they gain from it. So there's a lot of as I mentioned before, the gaslighting in regards to different projects that they may have told you need to have completed that you weren't aware of. I mean, the list goes on and on in regards to the manipulation and the level of manipulation that a narcissist will impart in the workplace. And especially when we're talking about those individuals who are divorcing a narcissist, what's going on in their personal lives absolutely carries over into the workplace at all. So it's kind of a twofold situation. And unfortunately, as you mentioned you've been with multiple narcissists. I've been with multiple narcissists. There are a lot of codependency and attachment that could come when you are attracting narcissists, or you have a personality, or right, that ambition, that success that attracts a narcissist. And so you'll find that maybe you're dealing with one in the home and also sometimes in the workplace.
Oh, yeah, and I know that, the majority, just so that everybody understands, the majority of divorces do not go to court. It's
Mhm.
somewhere between 3 and 5% that actually end up at court, but the majority of those somehow involve, a narcissist in there because they are combative. They are, it's their way or the highway. They have to win at all costs, even if that means that they, like in the case of War of the Roses, they were just as happy to destroy the house so that the other one doesn't get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And so yeah, and then so those people bring that energy, if they're the victim of that, right? If they're the person that, their spouse is trying to burn the house down because it just is something that maybe their spouse wanted, they
Mhm.
just don't want you to have it. So we've talked about, like, what it does to the partner, but what is the impact on team members who work with narcissists?
Oh my goodness. It can be very detrimental because when you are in a team environment or in a business, in the workplace, the whole name of the game is teamwork, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's very alienating, right?
Right.
Especially when they are in like your counterpart or a superior. It just becomes where individuals don't want to even be around that person.
Right.
And especially if they are always taking credit for work that they haven't done, especially when they are creating a toxic environment. A lot of narcissists are known to use like control and shock value and all of these other really harsh tactics to motivate in the workplace, and so it becomes very uncomfortable in the workplace as well. So what you end up having is, number one, productivity is going to absolutely decrease because people are just not able to move in that synergistic way that is really conducive to the company. And then also you're going to have your value based employees leave. They are going to leave. At a certain point, you cannot pay someone to continue to be triggered by a narcissist in the workplace, no matter how well of a job they are doing, no matter how well they're paid. Even they will start to look at their own work-life balance and start to seek employment elsewhere. And especially in today's climate, that's the last thing that you as an HR professional are going to want to do, is continue to have to seek and hire new members when you are going through all the training and building up this company culture to retain employees, and you have narcissists that are really eliminating that.
Yeah, undermining everything, and, and it's always all about them, and it's interesting. I think that there should, also be some studies done on, inter-office relationships with narcissists, because I would imagine that that is a very big, thing there, just because it's a winning thing, right?
Mhm.
They have to win. It's interesting. So what are a few of the questions that you want to ask yourself to see if you have a narcissist in your life, maybe in your workplace?
Mhm. Well, first of all, it's a matter of, does this individual just in general make you uncomfortable with the way that they lead, right? With the way that they are working in a manner of maybe being manipulative, maybe being a bit controlling, a bit overbearing? Do they lack empathy when it comes to you sharing constructive feedback, constructive criticism to someone to better the workplace, or even in your intimate setting? Are you finding that someone is completely undermining? I love that you just used that word, like undermining what it is that you are looking to do. Do they constantly put you down? Are you feeling like you have to change your behavior or stop and pause before you say certain things because you don't want to offend that certain individual? Are you finding that you're having to change your friend circle or your team member circle in the workplace so that you don't make or set the narcissist off? Like, any aspects of you having to change who you are innately is a red flag. And I have a lot of businesses that I work within, and when we're doing and working through like that human design modality and looking at motivators within that team environment, and conflict resolution and things of that nature, this is a big piece that comes up. And those individuals who aren't necessarily ready to play the game, they don't want to play nice, they don't want to play fair. It's very much an all for self type of mentality. So if you find that you are dealing or encountering those types of individuals, again, whether in your personal or professional life, it definitely is cause for pause to say, what is this individual bringing to me energetically? Like, how am I feeling when I'm leaving after going into some type of encounter or situation with this individual?
And what I know about them to be true is that they are the master manipulators and are very, very capable of lying to make themselves look better, but more importantly, to you look worse. So
Yes.
it's, and so if there's a constant feedback of, well, he did something or she did something in the meeting with us, but in front of you, she does something completely different.
Mhm.
And can sit there and look you in the eye just after, she said that she was, that she did it. And, the boss is now in the room and it's, I didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know what.
flip. Yes, especially, narcissists are very good at latching on to the people in power, right? It's almost it's a very self-serving, very manipulative thing. So typically, yes, you could have four, three, five, seven of you that say, listen, she or he is doing this. And
Right.
then the person in power, so to speak, that they've latched onto is like, no, especially when you have a covert narcissist or a martyr narcissist. They're like, no, that individual is always so helpful and, such a great employee and all of those things, because that individual is not seeing that behavior because the narcissist is intentionally holding back that behavior. And most narcissists do manipulate in that way. And that's
Yeah.
why it's important for, the HR individuals, when they're getting those complaints, when they're getting that feedback from their employees, is to document everything, because of that manipulation that a narcissist will use, going from, team to team, maybe superior to superior, just having that documentation where, that can't lie. At the end of the day, you get into this game of he said, she said, but, when the documentation builds up, the trail builds up, then you have something to say, okay, well now, let's take a look at what's going on here, what's really going on here.
And that's when what we call the mask, that right? Because there's two people there. Oh, thank you, darling. There's
Mhm.
two people there. There's the wonderful, the boy or girl wonder employee in front of the boss, and then there's a very different face to
Mhm.
others. And when the boss sees what we call under the mask, that's when things start really, really falling apart.
Mhm.
So, what are some tips for someone who thinks maybe they're working with a narcissist? What should they know?
Yeah, like I said, understand that the narcissist can't keep up that facade for long. So when you see the cracks in the mask, that is the real them. So don't ever say, oh, well, maybe they're just having a bad day. Maybe
Right.
XYZ, don't make excuses. Um, Also, again, you document everything, whether it's a voice note in your phone, and this goes for those that are divorcing narcissists as well. Document, document, document. It could be a voice, a memo or note in your phone. Text somebody that you trust. I don't care what it is, but document so that you can go back with dates to say on this date, this individual did this, right? So making sure that you protect yourself in that way. And then in the workplace, really setting boundaries. Oh my goodness. Are boundaries important when you are working or dealing with a narcissist? Because then they understand, okay, I can't manipulate this person in the way that I thought, or maybe even in the way that I have been able to historically, right? For some reason, they're putting their foot down now, and you will absolutely get some resistance that is not comfortable for a narcissist. Okay, you may even get some love bombing, right? Whether that's in the workplace or outside, because they're like, let me get this individual back to where they were, because I don't really like them putting their foot down or setting boundaries, but to protect your peace, it's so important to set those boundaries, set expectations with a narcissist, especially in the workplace, setting those expectations and having them verbally agree, have written agreement as to those expectations, because narcissists don't like to be held into a box. So they will always find a way to manipulate some project or some type of task that it is that they may be asked to do if it doesn't serve them. So making sure you have those expectations listed out, and then just being willing to let go or get rid of that individual who is causing turmoil within the business environment is very important. No matter the numbers they're bringing in, the sales they're bringing in, their leadership and other aspects, if they are negatively affecting the team, it will spill over into other areas.
Absolutely. And they're a very challenging personality. But they are also incredibly what's the, they are really looking to climb that ladder. So
Yes.
that's why a lot of times you have those narcissists at the very top of the team, and they've gotten there because it is their goal to win. And so
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's a good thing, right? But, so a little bit of narcissism is good. It is, however, when you divorce one that you see some of the very worst in humanity comes out. So as we wrap this up, I do want to remind everybody that we have her book, The 7-Point Guide to Recognizing Your Narcissist. We're going to have that in the description of this, whether you're watching us on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook. However we're going to be able to put that link for you to download Tiara's guide. And if you are a SHRM member, I'm going to put in the chat right now. I'm going to be putting in the link for you guys to fill out. Let's see. We're gonna show this link, and we're gonna put it here so that you guys can get your credits. And we're going to be doing this each and every week with SHRM credits and HRCI. So if you are in the area that in either of those organizations, you will get credits of a half an hour each and every week as we talk about that. So as we begin to wrap this up, Tiara, is there anything that you think that we need to really address here? We are both very personally connected to this topic. Um, and can we have empathy for those that are also in relationships with this? But is there something that we can end this with that gives HR executives just a better recognition of the manipulation, maybe? Or is there something that you feel that is one more tip for them to help manage their narcissist employee, or the employee that is divorcing a narcissist?
I would say, it's so important for you as HR individuals to listen to the employees. Okay. When they come and you're hearing those whispers of someone that just is detrimental to the team dynamic, it's worth looking into because it will spill over. You know, you may not get formal complaints just yet, but when those whispers and those ripples start to come out, just pay attention to those. When you are hearing from certain managers and whatnot that their employee may be going through a divorce and it's just a shell of themselves, they're not having the same type of work performance, it's worth having a conversation because sometimes they may be divorcing a narcissist. And it is, like you mentioned, it will affect them in so many different areas. So just having some various resources for individuals that have been affected by narcissists, again, with whether it's in the workplace or at home going through a divorce from a narcissist, just having some resources in place to let them know, I hear you. Because again, there's so much shame around being with a narcissist, or working with a narcissist, the manipulation of a narcissist in the first place. But it can be very lonely as well when you go to individuals who may not have ever experienced a narcissist and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And you get a blank stare, or you get a, no, I think you're, blowing this out of proportion, or, that is just how, the C-suite behaves, or, whatever have you, like making excuses for behavior. I feel like that is the worst thing that you can do, because a lot of times people just need support as they are going through navigating a narcissist.
Yeah, it's a tough one. This is the War of the Roses, everybody. If you've seen the movie, if you haven't, go watch it. It is not that exaggerated. It really isn't. As much as it was a caricature, and there was the Danny DeVitos in there, and I mean, we've heard so many stories, and I can assure you, each and every one of them are worse than the next. So please, as an HR executive professional, if you are a supervisor or in leadership capacity, understand that when your employees are married and trying to divorce this type of personality, they are in for a really, really whirlwind, and getting them the support. And we hope that what you will consider doing is reaching out to us here at Divorce Right so that we can help and support your employee that's going through that on your behalf. We will lock arms with your employee and walk up that hill with them as they go through one of the most challenging life events ever, and that's divorcing a narcissist. So we're here to help. We would love to have a chat with you. You can reach out to me. I'm Vicki, and I'm Vicki with a Y, at divorcerightinc.com. And I look forward to hearing from you about any of the events that you've had with a narcissist. Reach out to me, and let's have some chats about that and see how we can help families that are going through divorce have a better experience. So thank you so much, and we will see you all next week on next Thursday. And we look forward to seeing you there. Have a great day, everyone.